Inside the spacecraft, the astronauts set the timer and locked themselves in the hibernation pods, sinking into a deep sleep to endure hundreds of years without their bodies aging. A familiar sight in sci-fi movies, but could this become reality? Researchers interested in this issue have begun exploring the animal kingdom, where hibernation is quite common and occurs in over 200 species. The hibernation process has existed for millions of years. All three major groups of mammals developed this ability, and they evolved it independently tens of millions of years ago. However, it seems humans lack the essential elements needed for hibernation. For instance, the human heart would stop functioning if body temperature drops too low. Heart rate depends on calcium levels in the body. If calcium rises too high, the heart will stop beating. When body temperature drops below a certain level, the heart cannot expel excess calcium, leading to cardiac arrest. So why do these animals have the habit of hibernating? Hibernation is an extremely vital survival technique, enabling animals to endure harsh winters when food and water become scarce, threatening their survival. Previously, experts believed that hibernation only occurred in cold or temperate regions. Recently, scientists have discovered that some animal species can hibernate even in harsh conditions such as arid deserts or tropical forests. When animals begin hibernation, their heart rate drops to just 1 to 3% of normal, as seen in species like the lemur. The normal heart rate ranges from about 180 beats per minute down to around 4 beats per minute. The breathing rate decreased to 1 breath every 10 to 21 minutes. Most hibernating animals do not excrete waste during their dormancy period. According to researchers, hibernation slows down metabolism and lowers body temperature. During hibernation, the brain nearly ceases activity and falls into a lethargic state. Hibernation doesn't mean sleeping continuously throughout the winter. Some animals can enter a lethargic state for a period ranging from a few days to 5 weeks. After that, they restored their metabolic rate and body temperature to normal levels within 24 hours before returning to a lethargic state. The phenomenon of waking up in the middle of the night remains an unsolved mystery. During hibernation, the body undergoes significant changes, such as sleeping continuously for 5 weeks or the body temperature dropping so low it nearly freezes. This would be a fatal blow to species that cannot hibernate, like humans. Unlike the images often seen in movies, this is likely a barrier that humanity will never overcome. Every year, millions, even billions of US dollars are invested in research seeking extraterrestrial life. And how can we set foot on some distant planet? It's not a far-fetched dream for humans to set foot on the moon. Here are the natural English translations for your Vietnamese text. Highlights humanity's achievements in the journey of exploring and conquering space. One of the familiar methods often seen in science fiction movies. For humans to travel into deep space and reach another planet, the body must be placed in a state of hibernation. The astronaut will enter a cocoon-shaped device, then with the assistance of scientific techniques. The body can sleep continuously for several months to several years. When the spaceship lands on the new planet, the astronauts will wake up. In this hibernation state, metabolic activity drops to the lowest possible level. And importantly, the astronauts' minds no longer feel bored, having to wait for months, even years on end. In reality, putting astronauts into a state of hibernation requires certain prerequisites. It feels like everything is within reach. Even the European Space Agency is seriously evaluating the scientific validity behind this concept. However, everything must be assessed based on reality. Chilean scientists assert that it is utterly far-fetched, existing only in movies. A recent study conducted by 3 Chilean scientists has revealed significant findings. A mathematical hurdle in achieving human hibernation has been revealed. By clarifying the relationship between body mass and energy expenditure in hibernating mammals. This harm even pushes the idea forever beyond our grasp. Specifically, the research team identified the body's minimum energy metabolism rate. The ability of cells to survive under low temperature and oxygen-deprived conditions is insufficient to ensure life. In other words, for large-bodied animals such as humans, the energy-saving ability when we enter a state of hibernation or deep sleep is actually not as significant as many people believe. Not to mention, impairing the skin cell metabolism process can also lead to unpredictable consequences. Even when hibernating, some small animals they can lose more than a quarter of their body weight by burning through their stored energy reserves. For humans, this number is even larger. From this observation, Roberto Agnes-Polo, the study's lead author, concludes that natural sleep remains the optimal choice. The concept of hibernation often brings to mind the image of a bear nestled in its den, fast asleep throughout the long, cold winter. However, in reality, although bears are nearly inactive for many consecutive months, they do not truly hibernate efficiently. But in reality, hibernation typically occurs in smaller creatures, such as ground squirrels or bats. In these animals, body temperature drops sharply, metabolic processes nearly halt completely, and both heart rate and breathing slow down significantly. This process can reduce energy consumption by up to 98% in some cases, thereby eliminating the need to hunt or forage for food. However, for Daniel Chen, the story is different when it comes to mammals. Researchers concluded that the link between a robust metabolic process and body mass has reached a threshold where hibernation doesn't actually save much energy for large animals and can even cause many negative effects. Bears are among the few mammals capable of effective hibernation. When sleeping, a bear breathes about 50 times per minute. Amid the bitterest cold of winter, breathing slows to a bare minimum, only about 4 to 5 breaths per minute. During hibernation, all activities in a bear's body come to a halt, yet when spring arrives, they suddenly awaken with their bodies healthy and intact, as if they had never slept. Scientists conclude that if humans were to sleep under similar conditions, we would rapidly experience muscle atrophy and bone loss. Before hibernating, bears achieve an astonishing biological feat. They must store such an enormous amount of fat that it becomes dangerous for them. When a person becomes that obese, their body suffers permanent, irreversible damage. Additionally, forcibly lowering the body's temperature, heart rate, breathing rate, and slowing down metabolism during hibernation may not achieve the desired effect. However, even though current research confirms it's impossible, we should still hold on to hope that someday in the future, when humans possess extremely advanced technologies, hibernation may no longer be a fantasy. Like humans setting foot on the moon at night,